numbers.
Thank you. Please be seated. Prefect joke of the day is, why do cows have hooves instead of feet? Because they're lactose. It's okay.
Well done, Zoe.
All right, intellectual humor. Well, good morning, everyone. We're going to start with the Lonsdale's House hymn, How Great Thou Art, hymn number 7. Please stand. Very nice. Please be seated. Thank you. So we have a couple of things to do this morning. aside from admiring one another as we sit here with all these beautiful costumes. So I'm going to, without further ado, invite Jenny Zhu and Owen Zhang to come up and to tell us a little bit about their recent SALT trip.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny from Hogwarts School, and I'm in Gryffindor. I'm just kidding. I'm in the prep, and it's a great honor for me to speak in the chapel. I had a wonderful journey last week. I went on a sailing trip called SALT with all the prep students, 3 students from men's school, and 3 teachers. SALT means Sailing and Life Training Society. The SALT trip was fun, but exhausting. Before the trip, to be honest, I was not interested at it. Unfortunately, it was mandatory for prep students. I had to go. Before the journey, many students told me it would be terrible and the worst trip ever. I heard a rumor which said that no students in men's school offered to go, so they made prep students do this. When I heard this, I felt sad for myself, but now I love it. We were divided into 3 groups. I was with Ellen, Karen, Neil, Owen, James, and Siwan. We had a good time working as a group. The only uncomfortable thing was that I couldn't take a shower for 5 days. The washrooms on the boat were like the washrooms on the airplanes, but they were even smaller. A small basin, a tap, a small toilet, which you even need to pump to flush. That's the whole bathroom. There was nearly no heating on the boat. Everyone was freezing when they were on watch, but only some of our youngest students complained about it, and every single one of us kept doing our duties. Many students, including me, wore the same pants for 5 days. Don't tell my mom about this. Because, moms are crazy about things being clean. It's a secret. Shh. Also, we saw some lovely wild animals, which were orcas and sea lions. I love them. At night, all the girls slept in one room and all the boys slept in one room. It was the first time that we slept so close to each other. It was better than I thought. Every night, we had mug up. We sang songs, ate cookies, cakes, and drank hot chocolate. We rode dory boats to explore the Wrestle Island the second day. We wandered along the trail through the forest. Then, we used magic to get apples. No, one crew member used a huge branch to get apples. Everyone had a juicy apple and a good time catching apples. We lived as a whole group, just like in Shawnigan. We prayed before every meal. We sang songs every night, like we often sing songs in the chapel. We had #1 inspections every night to make sure our rooms were clean. We had games between different groups, like inter-house games. I like that, except the inspections. I climbed the mast in the boat. It was my first and second times to climb the mast. I climbed to the peak on the last day. That was definitely the highlight of the trip. The first time I climbed the mast, I didn't go to the top because I had to have lunch and I took over the last group's work. While climbing the mast, I felt more excited than before. I wasn't scared at all. When I looked down, I was a little bit scared. I didn't know I climbed so high, and I felt that I would fall. However, I looked up again to the top instead of scaring myself by looking at how high I was. My palms were kind of painful when I was near the top because of the coarse ropes. I had a slight feeling of dizziness as I looked down to the sea and the boat. It was too high for me, but I didn't want to give up. I spent the next 5 minutes getting to the top. I did it. You see, I like to challenge myself in life and in studying. Climbing is like life. You never give up, think hard, and observe how much you need to do to accomplish your aim and not be afraid of the risk. Next, Owen will tell you his thoughts about the trip.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Owen, and I'm also one of the member of prep school. Although I've spoken many times to quote in Chinese, but it is my first time to speak English. Last week, I had my coolest adventure ever, the sailing trip with Salts. The trip is about to live on the ocean on a sailing ship for 5 days. In these 5 days, we live together, we eat together, we suffer together, and we enjoy together. And for me, it was so cool to work like a real sailor. Coincidentally, my birthday was during the trip, and I can say it is one of the most unforgettable birthday party I've ever had. On the afternoon of the day, we tried to row the boat, so we get 2 groups, and each group got 1 jolly boat. At first, it is very difficult for us because we have never rowed this kind of boat before. And it was really hard to cooperate with the people who had just met each other. At that time, everybody was so scared because the boat was shaking all the time on a deep ocean. Honestly, I was scared too. But then I realized that even though the boat was shook badly, but there was never any water get into the boat, so which means we're absolutely safe. So it made me more calm down to think about how can I make the boat more stable and faster. Then we finally find somehow to keep the balance. Then everybody just listen in order and work together, and everything just work out. One of the best part of this trip is everybody can have the opportunity to show their leadership here. At night, everybody stayed together to sing the song and have the cake, and Cruel played the guitar for us, and we were so happy at that time. On a trip, the most difficult things for me and everybody, I think, is the night watch. On watch, there was 2 people as a group, and we had to get up in midnight and stay on deck to watch. We had to see that, does the light still work? Is there any problem with the anchor? We did this in order to make sure that everybody was safe. I think it was very good because the whole team will share the responsibility together. Even though on the deck it was cold, we were sleepy and tired, but there's not even one person who missed the duty. I think it's because of that everybody know that how important that the responsibility is. Before I went there, I was just like everybody else. I was scared because there's too many things we don't understand. It might be dangerous, we might be tired. But there's one thing that I know it clear, is we will never forget this trip. Because the trip is the first time there's something who made us, united us together. And there's first time we work like a real team. So I can say, this is the best part we learned from this trip. Maybe 1 month ago, we were just a group of people, but now I can say we are a team. Thank you to Mrs. Ferris and the staff on the trip, and thank you to the school who's supporting this trip. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. I certainly don't know that I could even say my name in Chinese, let alone a speech, so thank you very much. Thank you to all of the students who were on the trip, who went outside of their comfort zones many times. And even though the midnight watch was cold, yes, it did keep us safe, and climbing the mast was difficult, but you achieved it, along with a couple of others, and Nell Kirby did it, Jerry did it, James Heimbecker did it, and probably a couple of others that I didn't notice. But climbing the mast, especially when the ship is moving, not easy. There were many achievements. They studied hard and long about sailing, about studying charts, about rules of the sea, and some of them achieved a great deal more than I could. So I'd like to acknowledge the fact that Jerry achieved his sailing certificate, and James Heimbecker got the highest mark of everybody, and I'd like to award him with a little prize. So James, could you come up, please? James Heimbecker, are you here? Okay. All right. Thank you. Well done, James. And one last thing, I would really like to make sure that I thank and congratulate somebody for amazing leadership on this trip, and that was Freddie Wang. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Freddie.
Thank you, Mrs. Ferris. Another little piece of business. Of course, this year when we come back from break, we're coming right back to Remembrance Day, and I want to invite Mr. Manson Blair to come up and just, he has a couple of requests for you as we head off to prepare for Remembrance Day.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I will walk around this campus and I will be moved by the lovely smiles that I'll get from every one of you. It's quite profound, actually. And we, on this lovely campus, in this place of trees and youth and great sage wisdom, we sometimes take for granted that it's been many moments and many things that have happened to allow us to be here. So what we're doing for the November the 11th service here, which is a remembrance service, is I'm going to ask you to actually help and really take this seriously. We have established a site called the Remembrance Project. And on that Remembrance Project, we're asking every single student and their families to get together and spend about 15 minutes over this break that you have in communication with them and find a name from your family somewhere that was involved in some war at any time, any nation. And then go to that site, you just click onto it with your username, it'll come up there, and then enter the name of that person from your family who was affected by war. They may have died during it, they may have died subsequently from it, they've been maybe forced to emigrate to some other place because of it. But have those discussions with your family, with your parents and with your grandparents. And then I'm asking all of you then to fill up this Remembrance Project page with the name of the person, the dates, and then about 4 lines of information, the story. Because everyone here must have had a story involving them, their family involved in war at some point. And it is really lovely just to take a pause and be grateful to that. So that Remembrance Day service has then great meaning. Already, there has been a group of grade 8 students in the woodwork department helping to put this day together. They've done a lot of work already. It's been remarkable, actually, for you. So I'm just asking then, over the break, dial into the Remembrance Project page using your password, and then go and find a name from your family that was involved in the war and put dates, and make that November the 11th service that we will do here have great meaning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manson Blair. I'm going to be quick this morning, but you know, it's hard for me not to say something about Halloween, because Halloween, of course, is the best holiday of all. There's lots of free candy around. You know, we don't have to buy gifts for anybody, and of course, the best thing is that we get to dress up in costumes like vampires and ghosts and monsters of all kinds. So the only potential downside is that you're going to have to listen to my little history of Halloween, but maybe you won't mind this. So Halloween, for those of you who don't know, dates back over 2,000 years. The Celtic people of Western Europe celebrated New Year's Day at this time of year, and apparently on November 1st. They called it Samhain, was their New Year's. And on Samhain, it was believed that evil spirits and other creatures from the underworld were said to be abroad. And for some reason, it was this particular day that the underworld seemed to be particularly active. So the Druids, who were kind of the chaplains of the Celtic world, I guess, they would gather around bonfires. They wore crazy costumes, usually animal skins, and they ran around in the dark in order to confuse the spirits and probably avoid being harassed or possessed by demons. So who's wearing animal costumes this morning? Lots of animal costumes. But stand up if you're wearing an animal costume. Oh, lots of you. So you are like the modern day Druids. So I don't know if you could have imagined this morning when you got dressed up that you were actually participating, those of you who put on costumes, in a tradition that goes back thousands and thousands of years. It's probably the oldest tradition that we take part in, continue to take part in every year. So Samhain, the New Year's of the Celts, they continued to celebrate it right up into the Middle Ages when the church rebranded Samhain, as they often rebranded pagan festivals, and the Pope of the day decreed that November 1st would be, anybody know? All Saints' Day, exactly, or All Hallows' Day. So All Hallows' Day was the day when the church urged people to remember the dead and to pray for the dead. And so the night before All Hallows' Day was Hallows' Eve or Halloween. That's right. So that's where Halloween comes from. So the church kind of tried to move away from these pagan ideas, but of course people still sat around bonfires and dressed up in crazy costumes and ran around in the dark. Why? Because that's what people love to do, right? So we do it to this day. So I've been thinking about this whole theme of remembering. As I say, Halloween is supposed to be a time to remember the people that have died, people in your life. And of course, as we just heard, we come right back from break to Remembrance Day. So here's, just in a nutshell, here's what I've been thinking about this week. I've been thinking that, breaks are oftentimes for forgetting. Forgetting the work, forgetting the tests, forgetting the essays, forgetting the having to get out of bed in the dark, forgetting the having to get along with people, etc., etc. We kind of think, oh, it's a break. I can forget all these things. But I'm thinking that breaks are also good times to remember because we kind of have time to do that. So we have time to remember the things that tend to get lost in the fray. To remember that, we made certain goals and commitments to ourselves, maybe in the summer or at the beginning of the year, and to think about what those things were. To remember what's important to us. To remember the kind of people that we want to be. To remember how incredibly privileged we are to live the lives that we do, lives of comfort and opportunity in a world where so many people live lives of comfort or live lives of discomfort and poverty. So a time to remember how blessed we are. So I'm going to make some time in the coming week, along with all the fun that I intend to have, to remember my best hopes for myself and my best hopes for my students, and to remember why I do what I do. So I hope that you will all find some time as well to do that kind of remembering in the week to come. But most important, of course, do have fun and do come back relaxed and rejuvenated. So we're going to end here. I know the headmaster is going to have an opportunity to talk to you all at lunch today. So we're going to end with the school hymn, There's a Voice in the Wilderness. Please stand.
Prepare
I just want to say again how amazing our students were from the prep house this morning. Just wonderful job. Thank you. And let's give them another round of applause as we go out. Thank you.
Sit down, please, just for 1 minute. Yeah, I was going to do the same thing because that's a little bit of a theme, you know, having the courage, first of all, to stand up here and then having the courage to do it in a language that's not your own to begin with anyway. I want to know if that dinosaur sang the school hymn. Did that dinosaur sing the school hymn? I wouldn't be sitting. I'm not sure it's safe sitting where you're sitting, Owen, right? You're right in front of that thing's jaws. Anyway, well done on the costumes. I'm looking forward to the costume parade at lunchtime and the little contest that we have. As you can see, I again have done an outstanding job of putting effort into my Halloween costume, along with a number of other people up here. Yeah, we're party poopers, the lot of us. Good energy last night in the inter-house basketball. Just a lovely week it's been. If you take the whole week with all the sentiments, all the elements, and even fun being one of those elements. So yeah, good week, and the chaplain's message is absolutely right. Good time for us to do what our word shirt urges us to do, to reflect a little bit in the days ahead. More from me at lunchtime. Thanks, everybody. Well done.